where that suspect was staying.
And
Now let's
address
listen in.
first the people that we have with us. We have the Honorable Governor Greg Abbott. We're also joined by Honorable Mayor Steve Adler, the City of Austin. We've got the U.S. Attorney for the Western District, Bush, District Attorney Margaret Moore, Special Agent in charge, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives, Fred Milanowski. We also have the Deputy U.S. Marshal Darren Sarton and Colonel Stephen McCraw of Texas DPS, along with other members of executive teams from the law enforcement agencies. This community is well aware of the incidents that have taken place beginning on March 2nd. And Governor, I will just let you know that as the police chief in Austin, facing the daunting task of taking on an investigation like that in our community that has never seen something like this, was made easy and possible by the assistance we got from the federal partners. We saw a level of federal participation from the ATF and the FBI that is unprecedented in this community, with over 500 agents that were focused on bringing peace back to our community. But I want to focus on a couple of additional information that we have today based on the ongoing investigation. And again, I will say this is an ongoing investigation. We have at this point located a recording that the suspect in this incident made. It is about a 25-minute recording where he talks about what he has done. I would classify this as a confession. This was on a phone that we found in his possession early this morning after we had the officer involved in shooting, after he detonated that bomb that he had with him. On this recording, the suspect describes the 6 bombs that he constructed with a level of specificity that he identified the differences among those 6 bombs. We have told you all along that they all had similarities, which they did as far as specific components, but there were also differences between them. And on this recording, he identified what those differences were. I know everybody is interested in a motive and understanding why, and we are never going to be able to put a ration behind these acts. But what I can tell you, having listened to that recording, he does not at all mention anything about terrorism, nor does he mention anything about hate. But instead, it is the outcry of a very challenged young man talking about challenges in his personal life that led him to this point. Based on what we heard on the recording, he described the 6 devices, and we have recovered those 6 devices. He also described the 7th device, that being the one he had on him early this morning, that he detonated as our officers approached, causing the explosion and the ultimate officer-involved shooting that took place. We still want our community to remain vigilant, as we always should, given the day and time in which we live now. But I also want to let the community know that he described 7 explosive devices, and we have identified and are no longer in play those 7 devices. So I think it's important that we put that out and that the community be aware. We do want to remain vigilant, but we have accounted for the devices that we have known about. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Honorable Governor Greg Abbott for comments. Thank you.
Well, Chief, thank you very much for what you just shared, but also thank you very much for what you have done and demonstrated over the past few weeks. You know, there's a phrase that is used sometimes very casually that sometimes turns out to be very poignant. And that is, sometimes people refer to their local police officers as the finest, such as Austin's finest, when they're talking about the Austin police officers. This is demonstrative of why people say that. We saw in this situation Austin's finest, Austin's police officers galvanize and work tirelessly together over the past few weeks to solve one of the most heinous crimes that's ever existed in Austin, Texas, and in the process literally saving lives. And importantly, they did so in a way that achieved maximum response by working so collaboratively with law enforcement at every single level. This entire effort benefited tremendously by the overwhelming support that was provided to us here at the local level by the federal government at multiple areas of expertise. And of course, the state of Texas, directed by Steve McCraw in the Texas Department of Public Safety, was proud to assist in the effort also. But candidly, in my time as 12 years as Attorney General and 3 years as Governor, have not seen a better job than what we've seen from this police chief and the awesome police force, ensuring that they took every step they could to locate and apprehend, if possible alive, the treacherous, evil criminal who committed these acts. And I know, speaking for the chief, as well as all the members of his force, as well as the Texas Department of Public Safety, as well as everybody involved in this, there was one motivating factor to ensure that we got up every day, if in fact we ever went to sleep any night. And that was to do everything we can to live up to the magnitude of the loss that was suffered. We can never forget the victims. They include Anthony House, Draylon Mason, Esperanza Herrera, and as I have it too, yet unidentified victims. What we don't know is how many more victims there would have been had it not been for the courageous efforts of law enforcement combined. We will take away from this the importance of being able to respond quickly, but also lessons learned to make sure that heinous, inexplicable bombing actions by a crazed madman will be able to be minimized because of the way that law enforcement has been galvanized to ensure that we will keep our community safe. So, Chief, on behalf of everybody across the entire state of Texas, I want to say thank you for a job well done, for what you and your entire team has done. And today we proudly back the blue in Austin, Texas. And I'm also proud of the man who is the lead chief executive for the city of Austin, a man who has shared the effort of responding to this challenge, maintaining peace in our community, and that is Mayor Adler, who is with us here today. Mayor, I would like to toss it to you.
Governor, thank you. Our collective thoughts and prayers as a community go to the families of Mr. House and Mr. Mann, and also to Ms. Herrera, who continues today in stable but critical condition. This has been an anxious time for our community. I'll tell you that I think our community was getting a little frayed here toward the last few days. I am so proud of our police force and our police chief, Brian Manley. The work that they did was just incredible, with the weight of an entire community on their shoulders. I was incredibly impressed with the support that we had. Governor, you weighed in very early, both with manpower. You helped initiate the reward, as well as the funding that you gave us for the technology. It is something real impressive to see over 500 federal agents come to our community. I was impressed with the determination and the focus of the collective force and the way that they were able to work across jurisdiction in order to be able to deliver the outcome. And quite frankly, it was only watching the collective forces working together that gave us the confidence to be able to tell our community that if we pulled together and did our part, that this was going to be solved, and it was going to be solved quickly. And to our community, I want to say thank you as well. I think that we can be proud of what we did. When you're in these kind of instances, it's easy to find yourself feeling a little bit helpless, but we were not helpless as a community. Our law enforcement professionals asked us to be their eyes and their ears, and they asked us to get each other's back, which is what we did. It is important for us to be able to see around us the things that were suspicious and to be able to identify them. And as the facts come out in the upcoming time, I think the community is going to see that people identifying things that were suspicious helped us to be able to resolve this. So I'm proud of a community that stepped forward. I will also tell you that I've had the opportunity to be in many neighborhoods, stressed neighborhoods, over the last couple weeks, and in town hall meetings, talking to the community about identifying things in their neighborhood that are suspicious. What I learned was that as a community, we do not know our neighbors the way that we should, or perhaps the way that we used to. I think it is real important as a community that we use this moment. The legacy of this event for us should be that we walk across the street and introduce ourselves to our neighbors, or down the street or across the hall. We should know our neighbors better than we do. And if we do that, we will be a stronger and better community, and we will have advanced from this time. Again, on behalf of an incredibly thankful and appreciative community, to everyone that is gathered here behind me, I want to convey a community's thanks.
Hi, everybody. My name is John Bash. I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Western District of Texas. I want to echo what the governor and others said about the coordination and cooperation among law enforcement agents here. It was truly amazing to see these guys work. 500 agents coming together, bringing different skill sets to the table and working together to capture this guy and to ultimately to identify and locate him. It was amazing to watch. For our part, the U.S. Attorney's Office had a team of prosecutors on this case around the clock, helping out with warrants, other forms of legal process, answering legal questions as they arose. That ultimately culminated in the filing of a complaint last night, charging the suspect with 1 count of possession of a destructive device and an accompanying arrest warrant, which allowed us to go arrest him. We got great support from D.C., from the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, the FBI Director, the ATF Deputy Director. We got great support from our state elected leaders, Governor Abbott especially. We also worked hand in hand with the District Attorney's Office. District Attorney Margaret Moore and her team were phenomenal. We were side by side throughout this entire situation, and we worked great together. The only thing I want to end with is Governor mentioned the victims. Just makes me so mad to think about someone like Draylon Mason. As we've learned in the news, a prodigy, had a great life ahead of him. Someone like Anthony House, who had a little girl. And it's good that we came together to do justice for those victims. Thank you.
Margaret Moore, Travis County District Attorney. I can tell you from the DA's office standpoint that from the minute we got the call as a major crime when the first explosion went off until early this morning when the suspect was apprehended, we were engaged and knew from the second explosion that we were planning on a capital murder case seeking the death penalty. I believe that that opinion was shared by the U.S. Attorney's Office very early on, and that caused us to coalesce very rapidly into an excellent team that I think we'll always be proud of, because every thought was given to not only finding and apprehending the suspect, but to how we would be putting those cases together in the future, and with the anticipation that we'd be looking at both federal and state charges. So the teamwork was exceptional, and I think all of us are very grateful that we had the opportunity to build that kind of team. I can also tell you from being in the midst of it, John and I were up there many, many hours ourselves, along with our assistants. That the level of expertise, talent, and commitment just simply can't be described. Nothing was left unattended to. Leads were followed. Documentation was made. People worked tirelessly. Everybody had a passion and a commitment that has borne fruit in a way that we could only have hoped would come about. I can also tell you that your police chief made decisions in my presence that were tough to make, but he made them well, and I believe he saved lives with the decisions he made, because we had a man committed to further crimes and intentions to kill. So this is can never be called a happy ending, but it's a damn good one for the people of this community and people state of Texas, and appreciate the opportunity to work with these amazingly fine individuals and all of the folks who work for them. The deaths that occurred here were random and meaningless and absolutely something that we can't ever get our heads around. But we reacted in a way that I would hope every citizen would want us to react, and I'm proud to be here today to say we got it done.
Good afternoon. I'm Christopher Combs. I'm the FBI Special Agent in charge. It's this partnership that brought this to conclusion. This was a very difficult case. And it was only through the work of the Austin Police Department, working with us, with Texas DPS, with the Texas Rangers, the FBI, ATF, the Marshals, the Postal Service, that we were able to do this. This is what we do here. The partnerships are strong. We work very well together, and it's through that partnership that we were able to find this guy. If we had not found this man, I think we all believe very certainly that there would have been more devices and more innocent civilians would have been hurt and would have been killed. I think the people of Austin should be very, very proud of Chief Manley and the Austin Police Department. The people of Texas should be very proud of DPS and the Texas Rangers. And the people of this country should be very thankful to law enforcement in general. I think the narrative should be what you saw here. You had law enforcement people running towards explosions to help people. I've seen the video of what happened last night. You literally had Austin police officers running towards a vehicle that had an explosive device in it. That detonated. That is unbelievable courage. Those are heroes. And I think that's what we have to put out. The men and women of law enforcement do this every day. Maybe not to this level, certainly not on this stage with the media, but I would stress to everybody, this is what we do every day in law enforcement. And I think that's what the narrative should be. And for me personally, I'm very proud today that I have the honor of holding a badge and working with these fine men and women behind me. We will be here until this is over. We will maintain our presence into this city until we are absolutely certain. There is no question that there is nothing else that's going to happen here in Austin, Texas. And we will do that any place in America. Where there is a major crime, I assure you that the FBI will surge the resources to help our local partners, to help our state partners, and get on top of very difficult cases as fast as we can. So I take great pride in that. I'd like to thank the men and women of the FBI for what they did here. It's unbelievable work, and I'm very proud to be a member of the FBI. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Fred Milanowski, Special Agent with ATF. My 29 years in law enforcement, I've had many, many complex long-term investigations, none of which had the partnerships that we had in this. I want to thank my partners, FBI, DPS, Austin Police Department. Everyone brought their A game and their A team, and everyone checked their egos at the door. There was many, many nights we thought we were going home at 8 o'clock, and people were there till 3 o'clock in the morning. Everyone that was at the command center wanted nothing more than to bring this case to a conclusion. And everyone's tired. Everyone's put in 100% effort. And as Satcom said, we will not be leaving until we have tied up any loose end. And we've said all along we will turn over every rock in this investigation, and we will make sure the Austin Police Department, the City of Austin is safe before we return our assets back to where they came from. So, as Coach Wooden says, it's amazing what you can accomplish when no one's worried about who gets the credit. So, thank you to everyone that helped out in this case.
And I've left a few comments to last, and that is for our city manager, Spencer Cronk, and our assistant city manager, Ray Ariano. And some of these comments have actually been made, but, sir, I've told you several times that you have a police department to be proud of. The men and women of the Austin Police Department put it on the line every single day for this community because we care. I am proud of our federal partners, our state partners, everybody came to bear, but I want to reiterate the men and women of the Austin Police Department that serve our community day in and day out. And what happened last night, that video is harrowing to watch your officers that you have known for years, charge into what they knew was a dangerous situation and then have the outcome that we always knew was possible, and to watch as they fall backwards from the concussive blast from that explosion. Thankfully, already knowing that they were okay, but knowing the whole time they were willing to put their life on the line because of the danger this suspect had posed to our community. So I am proud of the men and women of the Austin Police Department. I am proud to get here today, to stand here today and represent them and the hard work that they did over these past 3 weeks, along with our federal partners. And Governor, you started with the reward money, and that got us out of the gates. Our federal partners jumped in and added reward monies. There was no stone left unturned, as we said there would not be, and everyone was committed, whether Austin is your home community or whether you flew here from another state and your federal agency to help us. Everyone was committed. But, Mr. Manager, I just want to say, as I've told you before, you have a department to be proud of, and the men and women of Austin did their jobs over the past 3 weeks to the best of their abilities, and we have successfully brought this suspect in and ended this. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions.
Ma'am, is there any other specifics that you could offer about the phone recording or confession that you talked about briefly?
So again, I think what is important for the phone recording to get this community to understand, because we were concerned throughout the investigation, what was the motive, what was the reason. And again, everybody always wants to understand a reason, and sometimes we can't assign a reason to irrational acts. But what is clear from listening to that video is this was a very troubled young man who was talking about challenges in his life that led him to the point to where he took the actions that he took. And there were also indications of actions he was willing to take in the future. I'm not going to go into the specifics because, again, this is an ongoing investigation, but it was important for this community to understand that his comments were not at all reflective of either a hate-based or terrorism-based approach to what he did, and also based on what he specifically described as the bombs that he had constructed, we can account for each and every one of them, and he did individually identify them, and we have accounted for all of them.
Can you explain the logic of the target addressed to Kelly Kilmore? Can you talk about that? There are unverified reports right now that the unexploded device was addressed to a Kelly Kilmore. Can you talk about that or confirm that?
So this investigation, as we've said, is ongoing. We have accounted for the actions of the suspect we were looking for last night and encountered this morning. But given that we are still conducting interviews and still ensuring that we have wrapped up all the pieces, we're not going to give out specifics such as names like that.
Did he explain the logic of the targets in his confession?
There was no indication of why these specific addresses in those that were delivered to homes or those that were placed in the community or those that were mailed. There was no reason given for why he selected those individuals.
Has his roommate been released from custody yet, or is this still a question?
There's still ongoing interviews going on throughout the day today. I'm not sure if he is still being interviewed or not.
Did y'all have any indication before this that he may have had mental issues, or did the family, were there any indications prior to this?
I'm not sure. That's some the records the Pflugerville Police Department may have.
Do you know when the video confession was possibly made?
We believe it was made last night, sometime between maybe 9 and 11 p.m.
Do you intend to release that video or that recording?
No, not at this point. This is an ongoing investigation, and we will be keeping that as part of the evidence.
Do we have any idea as to why he made those tapes and those recordings?
No, we do not. It was just, again, it was, as I classified, it was a confession because he was, and I even called it as such, that he was admitting to what he had done.
And was he addressing because he knew you were closing in on him?
I'm sorry, sir?
Any indication that he made that because he knew that y'all were closing in on him?
Yes, there were indications that he stated in the video that he felt like we were getting very close to him.
Speaking about the heroic work you talked about with the officers, could you describe a little bit more in detail just to take us through so our audience can get a sense of what they actually encountered on the scene last night as the suspect was trying to escape and you had to engage and rendered him dead?
So our goal throughout this was to put a stop to the violence to our community, but we were looking for a peaceful resolution last night. We had identified this individual as our suspect, and when we were able to locate him again up in that Round Rock area, in that parking lot of that hotel, we brought in many resources who all stayed at a distance so he would not recognize that we were there while we waited for the arrival of our tactical teams and the equipment that provides ballistic protection, because we wanted to have the best outcome, but we also wanted to have the most safe environment for our officers to work within. While we were waiting for all of those assets to arrive, the suspect drove out of the parking lot. As he drove southbound on the frontage road, we had several officers following him in unmarked vehicles and different type vehicles, not knowing where he was going to go or what might be next or whether he was armed. There was a decision made to put the stop in that frontage road before he got on I-35 and potentially went anywhere else. So our tactical team employed a tactic to stop the vehicle, and when we got that vehicle stopped, many members of the Austin Police Department approached his vehicle, and as they got to the window and began to bang on the window, what you can see on the video is a tremendous explosion that takes place, and you see our officers fall backwards from the blast, and then ultimately it ended in the officer-involved shooting. So as I described, we had officers knowing they had just stopped someone who has been involved in placing bombs around our community for 3 weeks, knowing the dangers involved in that, but they ran towards that and they put an end to it. One more question.
Was he killed by the shooting or by the bomb?
That will be a determination for the medical examiner to make. However, I will say the injuries that he sustained from the explosion were significant. Thank you.
What would you say to other people who are still afraid that there are other bombs?